So many different facets to your talent. How did you initially discover your passion for the arts?
I don't know. I feel like my mum realized it before I did. I think at a really young age, my mum kind of quickly discovered that I was definitely someone that probably enjoyed performing, didn't feel like too shy to get up in front of people and do things. I remember like my mum was one of her earliest memories is me uh, when we used to go to take me to the doctors or something like that. In the doctor's waiting room, most kids would be like kind of like huddling like behind their mum, like holding the thing. Whereas I'd kind of go off into my own world and like stand in the middle of the waiting room and kind of just start singing. And I think that she kind of realized that age, she was like, okay, this kid's kind of weird, and maybe we should utilize that. And I think around age 7, she kind of started sending me to a part-time drama school where I'd go every Saturday. And actually, originally, I wanted to act. Acting was like my favorite form of the arts, and I really enjoyed doing these drama classes every Saturday. And then singing came on a little bit later, I would say. I think maybe around the time I could always kind of sing growing up, but I think only after I kind of hit puberty, my voice broke. Like my voice started to sound a little bit more unique and a little bit more had its own sound. And I think around that time, I just started really enjoying it and started recording songs at home. I started kind of neglecting my schoolwork a little bit, and my parents were a little bit like, okay, what's going on here? But luckily it kind of it all worked out. So yeah, I would say probably from a very young age I realized it. Yeah.
Yeah, that actually might be the answer to this next question. But when you look at your career as a whole, who or what's had the biggest influence, either personally or professionally?
There's loads of things that have had influence. I think a lot of artists I grew up listening to had a huge influence on my kind of musical sound and career. But I think that I think that I remember one key moment that I always remember, and I've even told the person in question about this. I remember when a lot of people like didn't really know I could sing. And I feel like at school, especially, like it wasn't really. I don't think it was considered that cool to sing, or like especially for a boy, it was kind of maybe a little bit less normal to like enjoy singing or whatever. So I kind of didn't really tell anyone. No one really knew. And then around the age of like 14, 15, there was a girl that I used to get the bus home with every day from school. And one of my friends who knew that I could sing, he could also kind of sing as well. And we were messing around. We were like singing this song, and we were singing a song in front of this girl, and she overheard, and she turned around and she was like, what on earth? Like, you can sing. And then her reaction was like this kind of like complete shock. And then the next day she told like every girl in my year, and I remember thinking like, oh well, the girls talking to me. I was kind of like, I was buzzing, so I was like, this is funny. And then all these kind of like different like girls in my year were asking me to sing, and then I think around that time I realized, okay, I don't really want to be embarrassed about it anymore or like shy about it anymore. And obviously as we get older, even the boys in my year, they kind of thought it was quite cool as well. So I think it just kind of all flipped. I think as we all got older, it just kind of became more of a thing, and then I just started really going for it. So yeah.
A couple of years ago, you made the decision to go independent. What freedom slash challenges has that provided you as an artist?
It's given loads. I think that freedom wise, obviously now I don't really have to answer to anyone. It's kind of I release music as and when I want, and the sound is completely controlled by me, which is obviously a lot of fun. But obviously I still rely on opinions of my friends and my kind of new manager and stuff, and we'll always go back and forth on um kind of what we think is the best next step, etc. The challenges would see obviously there's a lot more work. Obviously, all the promotion, all the marketing, everything kind of comes down to me and the team I select, and I kind of instruct the whole thing. So, it's a lot bigger workload, but obviously the reward is a lot higher. So, I think that it takes up a lot more of my time. But I kind of wanted it that way. So I'm really happy that things are the way they are now. So yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that reward, you've had a lot of success throughout your career. When you look back, is there a particular moment that stands out to you?
Um, I mean, obviously, getting a number one album in the UK was an amazing feat to have achieved. Touring in the States for the first time was amazing. To be able to, or kind of really any country, really going to any other country than the one I grew up in, and being able to stand on stage and perform to people that sometimes their first language isn't even English, and all of a sudden they'll be singing all these songs back to me. It's an amazing feeling. So I think that there's been so many moments, really, so many moments that have just I'll never forget. And I think that I'm obviously very, very thankful to everyone that listens to my music for allowing me to experience those amazing moments. So yeah.
And you just dropped your interpretation of Whitney Houston's "I Want to Dance with Somebody." Can you tell us about the process of reinventing this song and flipping it on its head and making it your own?
Yeah, of course. I had the idea a long time ago. I kind of always loved, obviously I always loved the song "I Want to Dance with Somebody." And I always kind of had the idea that although the song is very uplifting and, you know, the original is very kind of happy and dancey, etc. I always felt like the chorus could actually lend itself to quite a sad song, because I felt like when I was going through my most recent kind of breakup, I remember feeling like I so badly wanted to go out and party and dance with my friends, but I just like it was so difficult because of the pain, etc. that I was feeling. And I felt like I wanted to sing the songs, I want to dance with somebody, but I can't because I still miss you. I still think about you, etc. So I just really wanted to kind of flip the song on its head and kind of turn it into my own, because I've always loved the song. And I think people always love listening to something where there's an element of familiarity. So I just, yeah, I took the song, completely stripped it back and made it my own. And when we were kind of looking for release dates, the song was meant to come out in January, but there were a few mishaps and the track got pushed back. And then I'm not sure if you're aware, but today is literally the 10th anniversary of Whitney Houston's passing, which kind of felt like the stars completely aligned. We were like, oh my goodness, like, you know, that's such a perfect day to put out the song. And we reached out to the Whitney Foundation and made sure that they were okay with that. And they gave us the green light. They really loved the interpretation. So, you know, that was really, really cool. And now I feel honored to be part of the legacy. So it was really, really cool.
During the pandemic, you've been working on a new body of work. How will this next chapter differentiate itself from your debut album, Contrast?
Well, you know, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years now since my first album came out. So, you know, I feel there's been a lot of growth personally and musically. And I just, yeah, I feel like it's coming, it's much more so coming from me now. I think that, you know, before I was much younger, I kind of remember I viewed everyone around me as like, oh, you know, they're my bosses, like the producers I was working with or the management or the label. I was like, they're in charge. It's whatever they say goes. And now I feel like I've definitely come, you know, much more into myself and more into my own. And now I have much more creative control. And I feel like it's coming from me. And I think that it feels much more personal now. So I think that that has an added element of it gives a higher reward when people like it. So yeah.
A little glimpse of kind of this new chapter with the release of What I Put You Through. It's one of your most personal songs to date. Has it always been easy for you to tap into that vulnerability?
I personally, I'm someone that when I'm going through something, from struggling with something, I like to talk about it. I like to be open with my emotions. I like to kind of process it and make sense of it through talking to my close friends or talking to my family, etc. And even putting it down into music. And I find it almost therapeutic to kind of put it down into my work. And I think that, you know, I'm someone who doesn't shy away from being honest with what I'm going through and what I'm feeling. I think that it can be often a lot harder when you're writing about something that's much more personal to you, because you want to be so particular and precise with what you say. I kind of always want to be really like, I want to get the message exactly how I feel. I don't want to be lenient and just put in any old line or anything like that. I want every single line to be exactly what I'm going through. And that makes obviously the writing process a lot harder. If you're writing something that's a little bit more general, then it's kind of, you can kind of throw any old line in there, and if it sounds good, and that's great. But I think that it, you know, as I said, it can be a lot harder to get the finished product, but it does feel amazing when you've created something that's genuinely true and genuine to yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, something that I really appreciate about you is you've used your platform to bring awareness to mental health. Why has that always been so important to you? How did you discover your voice as an advocate?
I just think it's when I started struggling with it myself, and I realized how important it was and how much of an impact it can actually have on people's lives. I think that before I ever struggled with it, I took for granted kind of how, you know, ignorance was bliss, like how I really didn't understand, you know, some people who were close to me that were struggling with mental health, and I was like, why? Like, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong. You're not going to die. Like, what's going on? I understand, like, what you're so worried about, and why every day you wake up and think, oh, I don't feel good. And it's like, I didn't get it. And then obviously as soon as I started feeling it myself, it was like, oh, this is real. Like this is something that can be so powerful and can be so damaging to anyone. And I think that it was that moment when I realized, cool, I need to make sure that I allow other people who are going through the same thing to feel assured that they're not alone, and feel assured that it is so common to go through it, even when it feels like it's not. And one of my biggest issues is when I'm going through it, I feel like no one else is feeling the way I'm feeling right now. Like there's no way anyone else feels this low. But the truth is they do, and people are good at hiding it, and people are good at kind of just powering through it. People learn to manage it. And I think that for me, it's about just trying to remind people of that, even when they're at their lowest, just drilling it into them. It's this, we all go through difficult times, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah.
And you're gearing up for a massive 2022 with new music and a potential tour. What can fans expect from you this year?
Exactly that. A lot of new music, a tour at the end of the year, a world tour, which I'm super, super excited about. I can't wait to get back on the road. It feels like it's been forever since I've been on the road. So it's going to be it's going to be wonderful to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back out there and showcasing all the new music that is yet to come this year. So yeah.
Different appreciation heading back on the road, just given the fact that we've spent now 3 years where you couldn't do so.
Of course, I think it's going to be surreal. It's going to feel so weird getting back out there on stage and seeing everyone. I think it's going to be quite emotional. I think it's going to be quite an emotional moment. I think I'm probably going to cry in the first show. but I think that I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to my previous tour came to a bit of a somewhat kind of odd end, because I had a bit of a kind of a moment on my last show, and I actually posted about it at length on my Instagram when it happened, where I just kind of felt a bit anxious for some reason on the last show, and I ended up not enjoying the last show. And I think that I'm anticipating this next tour kind of because of that, but at the same time I think that it's going to feel really refreshing to get back up on stage and go for it again. So yeah.
Of all the music that you've released or are set to release, if you had to pick one song that best describes who you are as an artist, which would it be and why?
Of all the songs that I've released?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there is one particular song. I think it's all about the body of work and everything tied in. I think that, even like my listening habits, I wake up one day and I want to listen to a really sad song, and I want to listen to like a trap song, and I want to listen to a club song. It's like, my wants to like in terms of listening always change. I think it's the same with my writing. Sometimes I really want to write a big up-tempo song. Sometimes I want to write a really sad kind of down song, or sometimes I want to write something a bit more inspirational or whatever. I think that there isn't one particular song that kind of that portrays me as an artist entirely. I think it's all about a body of work. So my first album, I think, especially at the time, I remember I even named it Contrast, because I felt like all the songs just were so different and really contrasted each other, and there was a kind of a lot of diversity within one album, and I was really, really happy with it when I put it out. So I'm hoping the next album achieves the same thing.
And then we just like to end all of our interviews with a pop culture lightning round. Is there a band or artist that fans would be surprised to learn is on your playlist?
Ooh, fans would be surprised. Oh, I don't know. Who would they be surprised about? I don't think what they'd be surprised about. I mean, I've probably got a lot of guilty pleasures. I have so many old school like Disney bangers on my phone. The soundtrack from Mulan is just a classic. So that always gets bumped no matter where I am. Even if I'm throwing a party, if I say we're listening to a few Disney bangers, we're listening to a few Disney bangers. So yeah. Normally I have control of the speakers, so because it's normally in my place. So I'll always, but I don't think no one ever complains. People are normally pretty happy about it. So I've got some Disney lovers as friends. Yeah. So that's good. So yeah.
What about the first album you ever bought or streamed?
First album I ever bought, I believe, was Good Charlotte's album. I think because the first album I ever bought was a Good Charlotte album. I think it was their first album. Rich, I think it was Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous. Was that the name of the album? Or Young? So I can't remember. I think something like that. I know that's one of their songs. I can't remember if that was the name of the album, but yeah, that's one of my favorites. So yeah.
What about the first concert you ever attended?
First concert I ever attended. Ooh. Are you aware of the UK British rapper Tiny Temper? Do you know? Have you
Yeah,
heard of him?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his thing. I don't actually think I ever went to a musical concert until I was signed. I
Oh,
think
wow.
the first ever music concert I ever went to was, I was like 18 or something. I think I was like 17, 18. I never went as like a kid or like as a teen, like in my early teens. I don't think I ever went to see anyone live, which that's quite strange when I think about it now. But yeah, I never went. So yeah, I went quite late. So yeah, so Time Temple was the first one.
Yeah, that's a good fun fact. What
Mm.
about an album that changed your life and why?
Album that changed my life. I love Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. I remember thinking that it kind of proved to me that like how timeless a piece of work can be and how much it can grow on you. I remember at first hearing it and being a little bit underwhelmed and thinking, oh, this isn't as good as I thought it would be. And then fast forward a few months, I knew like the words to every single song and like every song back to back. I remember just how much it grew on me. I remember thinking that like that was kind of what I was striving for. I think sometimes we all strive for songs or pieces of work that just instantly hit you. And sometimes those songs you can get bored of quite quickly, whereas the songs that grow on you last a lot longer. And I think that was kind of what I was going for. And it is really, I feel like it's much harder to write songs that are less immediate. Especially now, I feel like we do live in such a world where people want that immediate kind of, euphoria type thing. When they hear a song, they want that immediate, like, wow, this song is amazing. They don't have the patience to kind of like give song time. And I think that I definitely want I want to produce a piece of work and put out a piece of work that grows on people the more they listen to it. So yeah.
Not bad. We were talking about touring earlier. Is there a venue that's on your bucket list to perform at?
I would say the O2 Arena and Madison Square Garden are the two. That's like the two that I would love to perform at. And I performed at the O2 many times, but never as my own show. And I don't think I've ever performed at Madison Square Garden full stop. So that would be amazing. So yeah.
And then final question for you. When you're on the road, what's a must-have?
When I'm on the road, my gaming laptop. I take my gaming laptop wherever I am. Even if I'm on holiday, I take my gaming laptop and I sesh Rocket League. That's what I play.
Love
so
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, my
game
goes with me wherever I go because I find it literally like it de-stresses me if I'm feeling stressed. So yeah, and then it causes me massive stress if I start losing. Yeah, so it kind of it has its ups and downs. So yeah.